And would you look at that? We are now currently live. Da-doom-ts, here all
In
day.
vivo. In vivo.
In what? What?
In
In
vivo.
vivo. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Gotcha. Well, how do you say run that intro?
Now you're trying to get too fancy.
Well, I tell you what, I'll say it in English. Run the intro. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
I know how to say dispara. O bala bala.
Sparta.
Anyway,
This is Sparta.
no, dispara, like fire.
Okay.
Anyway, what's
Fuego,
up,
I thought that
everybody?
was.
Yeah, fuego. That's fire as well.
Okay.
But dispara is like guns specifically. All right, fire the
Okay.
gun. Like shoot the gun or shoot.
Sure.
Dispara shoot really. All right, so welcome
Sure.
everybody to the Couch Live. No, this is not the Couch Live. This is Dope and Dharma, man. What's up, everybody? It's Dope
Well,
and Dharma, the We the Middle
technically,
version.
yeah, there you go. The We the Middle version.
We the Middle edition of Dope and Dharma. I am the street certified dope doctor Louis Delgado, along with you with my partner Trinity Phillips, the Dharma guy. What's up?
What's up? What's up?
All right, man. I'm assuming
Looking
you can hear
forward
me
to.
right. I forgot to ask you before.
Yeah,
we
I
went
can hear
on.
you.
Sound and everything.
I can hear you.
Okay. All right, good. And let me ask little Robert. Robert, is it okay that you're on camera? Yes. Robert said yes. My little voodoo doll.
Well, he
Robert,
wasn't technically on camera before you did that, though. So.
well, but I wanted him on. I want him to give us
Okay.
good luck and all that jazz. So remember, Trinity, you want to tell everybody how they can see us and watch us? There's Richard Coleman right there. So perfect time.
Hey, what's
Go
up,
ahead.
Richard? Yeah. So right now, if you want to watch us live, you could do it on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, and each one of those would be Dope and Dharma. And that's if you want to watch our beautiful faces live. It would be Monday evenings when we do the couch, which is related to drug and alcohol related issues. On Tuesdays is Dharma time, which is more of a spiritual kind of. Let's talk about philosophy and finding happiness. And then it seems like right now we're on the schedule of doing on Fridays, where we'll do We the Middle / the morning after, where we talk about politics and sports and things of that nature. So
Yeah.
if you want to watch us
Since
live, you
it's
can do that.
Yeah, and since it's not football season, we're going to do a lot more We the Middle than morning
Yeah.
after. Because
Yeah.
really, even though it's a sports show, we really only give a damn about football.
Yeah, pretty much.
So anyway,
So, but yeah, and as of today, if you saw the live postings, you saw our topics, and we'll get to those in here in a minute. But
right.
as always, you can see on the screen. If you want to hear us, you can do. You can follow us on social media. He is at the Dope Doctor. I am at the Dharma Guy, and then collectively we are at Dope and Dharma.
Right, and like you said, if you want to have a comment, if you want to be part of the show, and you're watching on any of those platforms, please do so. Like right there, Richard Coleman, Facebook Live. If you're watching this instead of just listening, you see that he said next Tuesday's election day. Boom. All right,
that's right, and it's important for him because he's running.
Yeah, Richard, why don't you put right there what you're running for? Let's put that up there. I would love to see that. Maybe somebody's listening and watching from that area. Maybe Richard, if you share it in your area, maybe they would know that you're running a little bit more.
Right.
I'm sure there's Richard Coleman signs all over the place. All right.
You would hope, right? If he's running.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's always good. It's always good, Trinity, when we know politicians before they become politicians to see if they stay in touch.
Exactly.
Right. It's almost like athletes and musicians and everything like that, to know them before they become too famous and then they don't give us any more attention. You know what I mean?
No more love.
Yeah.
No more love.
Yeah. North Carolina. All right. Well, the whole state of North Carolina, Richard? Seriously?
Well, he says Iredell County Commissioner.
Oh, okay.
Tell your district, Richard. Be specific.
Right. Yeah. No wonder he wasn't putting it on because he couldn't even spell Iredell.
Right.
So anyway,
exactly.
Awesome. All right. So Trinity, let's get into it then. The first topic for today's show is Tom Brady. And now you may be asking why Tom Brady is on this, people. You may be going, what does Tom Brady have anything to do with We the Middle? Well, not so much anything for We the Middle, but here's what it does, because he does get controversial in one way. In sports, you have those that poo-poo and hate on him, like Trinity, for no good reason. And then you have people like me who I did not like him to win. I did not ever want him to win. But I became a Tom Brady fan because of all the naysayers, because of all the people like Trinity who was constantly trashing him. Then I started backing him up and being like, nah, man, give the boy a break, because the dude has already proven himself. He's got rings. He's got success. at the end of the day, I don't care how good your system or coaches are, you got to be the warrior that steps out on that field, and you got to perform that game plan. And time after time and time, he did it and fulfilled that game plan. So I was a big fan that he went to Tampa and actually showed the world that he was at least deserving of some of the titles he was given, because he went to a brand new team that was in the tank and then took him to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. So boom. I became a Tom Brady fan from that. Plus, he just seems like a cool dude. He just seems, he just seems cool. So we're talking about him today because we finally know what he's going to do after football. I mean, I don't know when that is. I mean, that could be when he's 60, right?
Continue to be more rich.
right.
300 and what? 375 million.
Just stay like Studley. Yeah, he stays Studley, man. There's a couple of these guys like the Aikmans of the world who they just still look cool. You know what I mean?
He did not look that cool in his combine pictures.
No, it's the worst picture on earth. The combine is the worst picture he has. He looked like a little dork.
Yes.
And I gotta admit, Trini, that's probably why I didn't like him as much. Besides that, he was on the Patriots, but I just thought he just didn't seem as cool as some of the other quarterbacks who were out at the time.
Well, he looked like what he was at the time. He was a non-starter and couldn't get on the field in Michigan.
Right.
And when he went to the pros, he was a backup behind Bledsoe. Right. However, when he got his opportunity, of course, he ran with it. But as you could tell, as his fame and money grew, his looks started to grow as well. He started to have enough money to get his hair done and change his clothing a little bit, get a stylist.
Well, that's where Giselle comes into the picture.
Sure.
She saw that little diamond. Yeah, she was like, you need a makeover. You know what I mean? My daughters get with guys like that. Look, if any of them are watching, whether it's John or Matthias, I mean, dude, our daughters are like that. They like shine them up a little bit, make them look better, because they don't come in looking that good. But my daughters see something in them that they like. So, they start dressing better, they start acting better, they start being better. So, sure. A woman does that to you, Trinity. If you get with a good woman, I mean, and she has some fashion sense to her.
Well,
does it to you.
My attire has gotten worse over the years, so I don't know what that says about Angel.
Maybe I should keep my mouth shut then before I get.
Well, when I first met her, I would dress up a little bit more, but as the years have gotten by, I've gotten more comfortable, and it's gotten hotter. Now my attire is basically tank tops and shorts everywhere I go.
You know what? I'm one of those guys too. I used to always be dressed up when I first moved from LA. I don't even think I ever wore jeans. I was always dressed up, always had jewelry on. And then as time went on, I just got more casual. Now I wear flip-flops. Damien got me to wear flip-flops. Now she's not gonna get me to be like barefoot. Like that woman can walk barefoot anywhere, but I'm not doing that. But
that's that Kentucky in her.
Yeah, exactly. This is Clearwater, bro. You better say Clearwater. You're gonna get in trouble. All right, but we're talking about Tom Brady. So how do you feel that so this is what I thought was weird. So Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, for those of you that don't know, they're not going to be announcing football anymore on Fox, right? So, but Fox didn't even make a play. I didn't even know that Fox didn't even make a play. They didn't even make a play to keep Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, which, I mean, they did a decent job, but it wasn't spectacular. I don't think anybody was watching. First of all, I don't think anybody watches football for the announcers.
No,
but they at least they did a decent job. But when they left, Fox just let him walk, and I don't think anybody knew, well, what direction is Fox going to take. And then they go and make this outrageous purchase of Tom Brady after football, and it's a real interesting thing, right, Trinity? It's after football. It's not even like a next year contract or anything. It's like after football.
Well, yeah, I think the assumption is going to be now moving forward, this will be his last year. I mean, he already basically retired and came back, so and now he's signed this insane deal of like $300-some million. The assumption, I think, is moving forward, he's going to probably call it quits after this year.
Okay, look at Richard. So no body watch. You're right, not a body. Eyeballs watch football. No body does, but eyes do. So
yes, I gotta admit that I don't watch it like I used to, but I definitely watch it. And for those of you who are listening outside of the States, we're talking about American football, not soccer.
Yeah, sorry about that. Although I do watch World Cup and I do watch Cruz Azul.
I do watch World Cup as well. I am a big fan of the World Cup. But I am a homer, right? Like I root solely for the United States. Although I did like it that one year when France won, because I liked that one guy. I can't remember his name at the moment. The guy who headbutted him. I like
Good.
that.
I'm glad you didn't remember France. Really? You watch France?
Well, then, well, I don't watch them. That year that they won, I liked it because Zinedine Zidane, that was his name.
Nothing bothered me more than when I was in school and somebody would take French class. And I'm sitting there, what the hell are you taking French class for? You Rudy Poot. I mean, there's so many languages that are so beneficial to yourself in business or public, or because your roots and you want to know it. But French, really?
I guess it's
For
a
what?
good thing that our listeners mostly are not from France, so you didn't offend anybody.
Yeah. Hey, sorry, Canada. Sorry, Canada.
Right?
Look, my wife took French in school, and to this day, she'll get a French word mixed up with a Spanish word, and I'll still get on her like, really,
Wow.
seriously? Yeah. But anyway, so Tom Brady, congratulations on that contract. I think that's really cool. It'll be interesting to see if he could do what Romo and with what Romo has done, or what Aikman has
Troy
done.
Aikman.
I think he's going to be really good. I got to be honest. I got a
Sure.
feeling he's going to be really good at it.
I
Probably
would
even better
hope.
than Romo. Yeah, probably, because this guy reads fast, man. He reads defenses so fast when he's playing. I can only imagine what it's like to hear him read it when he's
Right.
not playing. I also have enjoyed the Mannings. Watching the
Yeah,
Mannings.
of course.
They've been really good at.
Yeah, they're
at doing
hilarious.
it. So, so I look forward to it. So that's all about Tom Brady. So another reason for you guys to hate Tom Brady if you hate Tom Brady, or another reason to love Tom Brady if you love Tom Brady. That coming soon to a television near you, when Fox is playing a football game, you're going to be listening to Tom Brady. Now, who he's going to have with him? Don't know
Who
yet.
knows?
Yeah. All right. What's the next topic?
All right. Now we're getting into the political stuff. So
this is
the
the real
next
weed
one
metal stuff right here.
yeah,
Hey.
this is the protesting rules. Go ahead.
First of all, can you explain why we're called We the Middle real quick for the people that are first listening to us?
Yeah, well, we're we the middle because neither one of us lean too far right or left in our political stance. We like to think that we represent middle America, right? Or not even really middle America. I think most average people, no matter what country you're from, no matter what your political stance is, I think that a lot of us, try to be decent. We try to be reasonable, and we understand that not everybody thinks the same way that we do. And I
Right.
think that that's the perspective we try to come from, on all the
Right.
topics. Is I think that we're kind of in the middle, man. We understand both sides.
Right.
We have our opinions, of course, but at the
Right.
end of the day, we understand that our opinions, aren't necessarily what rules whatever
Yeah.
nation we're talking about.
Yeah, neither one of us got jumped into the Crips or the Bloods. We're
Exactly.
we're registered independent. So, all right. So, protesting rules. So, Trinity. All right. Now, we know the Roe versus Wade. We talked about it last week. If you want to go
Yes.
watch that show, go back and watch last week's show. It's up there. Trinity can show you how to get there. However, protesting always goes along with whatever people don't like, and that's fine. I love it. I think protesting has its place. I think it's necessary. It's not only in this country. We have protesting all around the world. But it comes with some rules of engagement, just like war. War has rules. You may not think so, but there are rules of
The
engagement.
Geneva
in
Convention.
conflict. Right. There are rules. And if you break those rules, then supposedly hellfire and brimstone comes in and gets you.
Well, they did have the Nuremberg trials, so I mean, they did, crack the whip a little bit.
Well, they hang you. Yeah, if you were the leader and you break. That's why I think Putin doesn't want to be called a war criminal. Like when Biden said something that made him sound like a war criminal, I was like, whoa, no, because that's a hanging. There's no coming back from that.
Yeah.
The world will hang you. So I have no problem with the protesting. I don't know about you. I do have a problem though sometimes, Trinity, of where they do it. Now I'll explain.
I think there's two distinguishments that need to be made, though.
What's up?
Right? Like the first one is there's a massive difference because I know where we're going to take this, and it's not necessarily about what this is. So I want to make sure we do get it out there. There's a massive difference, guys, between protesting and rioting. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like let's make that distinguishment. Protesting peacefully is getting a permit or being where you're supposed to be. Voicing your concern with whatever it was that you disagree with. And at least in this country, I know we have the right to do that. It's in our constitution. We can do that. Right. And I have no problem with people, applying that right. I don't think that rioting was where you're hurting people, you're breaking into things, you're setting things on fire, you're looting. No, I do not agree with that in any way, shape, or form. And I think if you are rioting, looting, that you should face whatever legal consequences are coming your way. So I just want to make sure I agree. But I think lately in this country, we've gotten to the point where protesting / rioting is kind of blurred a little bit. So I just want to make sure we understand a very distinct difference between those two.
Okay. Fair, duly noted. But I don't know about your neighborhood. Do you have any protests that happen in your neighborhood? Do you ever see them on the corners or anything like that?
No, the only thing I
don't see
anything in my direct neighborhood, but the only thing I see driving to and from my neighborhood, and sometimes I'll see somebody on the street corner tell me
With signs.
seeing Jesus wants to save my soul and stuff like that, but nothing political.
Oh, that's different. Yeah, that's different. But yeah. Yeah, we get it sometimes over here in New Smyrna Beach. Like sometimes the on the left side of the street would be the fors, and on the left side of the street would be the against, whatever issue. Which is cool. It's fine. And the honker, people will honk for this or honk for that,
Right.
and that's fine. And those are cool. So here are the two times that I really get bothered about where you protest. Number one, I don't like when they stop freeways.
No.
Don't get in the road. Don't get in the road. I don't
Yeah.
mind you on the side of the road. You could be on the side of the road with your little picket sign and voice your opinion. Fine. Do it. Don't get in the road. Just don't be in the road and prevent me from going where I got to go, because then it just, it can cause conflict and problems, right? I don't like that. I don't like when you stop traffic.
I agree.
The second,
100%.
the second is, I don't know about you, Trinity, but my home is my sanctuary. That's I don't care if you don't like me. I don't care if you want to shut me up. You don't talk to me at the office or when I'm out in public doing something. But if you would show up at my house to say, hey, by the way, Louis, the thing that you said on that last broadcast, I have an issue with that.
Right.
That's not going to fly. Don't come to my house. I don't think that people should ever come to your house to protest. And the reason we have this up today, want to talk about it today, is because I wanted to see is that an unusual opinion? I mean, can we not agree on the people that are going to the actual Supreme Court justices' houses or neighborhoods to protest? Are you guys okay with that? Because I'm not imagining that most people would be okay with that. I mean, take the reason they're protesting out. You got to take that out. There's difference. The rules are different than the actual protest. So that's why I wanted to talk about it today. What do you think about that? What does that say? What is Marissa saying right there? Stopping people from going to work was a big problem for you. Yeah, it was. It was definitely. Yeah. And there's Kathy Phillips saying, yeah, see Trinity 436 and Curry Ford Road during the elections. They go on the left side and the right side, right? All right. Yeah. So what do you think about that so far, Trinity? About what I'm saying, that there should be some sort of rules that people all follow, right?
So I've tried to think about this in the most reasonable way I could, right? My knee-jerk reaction, just emotionally, I agree with you 100%. Stay away from my home, period. Having said that,
right. Okay.
I'm not going to pretend like I don't understand the mindset in certain situations. And let me explain.
Okay.
I don't agree with it with the Supreme Court justices, only because they're not an elected position. Their job is strictly to interpret the law. If you don't like the law, then your job then is go to people who make the law. In our country, that's the legislature.
Right.
You need to go to those elected officials and tell them your displeasure. And if you have enough votes and if the all the constituents agree, then you change the law, which thereby would change the way the Supreme Court interprets said law. Right. So you're not supposed to try to influence or bully or whatever the Supreme Court. That's not the role that they play or we play in their lives. So in that instance, no, I don't like it at all. Right. However, I'm not going to pretend like I don't get it if said politician that's in an elected position is not doing what you feel they should be doing as far as the will of the people. I'm mixed, right? Like, I don't think you should, but I understand it, wanting to show to their house and getting them uncomfortable, right? Because if you're that emotional about it, and if it's affecting your home life in your home, and you're wanting to speak up and say something about it, like, I totally get it, right? And the way the way I think of it is this. Years ago, when I was a working man, W-2, there was supervisors that I would have to deal with sometimes. And they were kind of rude and nasty. And in that building, they were the big boy on campus. In that building, they could say and do essentially what they wanted to because they were the managers. But what I always would try to remind them was, we stop at the same gas station on the way to work. And just because, in this building you have authority, when I see you at the gas station, we're both buying our coffee and get ready to go in or whatever it is that we're buying, you're an equal at that point. And so I might have something to say to you, I understand the accountability aspect, meaning if you're going to say and do things that's going to affect people's lives in a certain way, you have to understand that there's a certain amount of accountability that's going to come with that. And it might not always be in a way that you deem acceptable. because they don't
Mhm.
have to, right? Like if they're legally allowed to do something, then you can't fault them for doing that. Now we can argue that we should change the law. That's debatable, and I think there actually is a law at the moment that you cannot protest a Supreme Court justice's house. Just to put that
Right.
out there, it's not
Right.
being enforced.
Right.
But like I said, I don't think you should do it with the Supreme Court anyways. But like if there was a certain politician that was, you know, just what you feel to be destroying the livelihood of everybody around you, do I think that you should just stop because it's his home? I understand that perspective. Do I think that you should? No. I think you should have a public place, get your permits, do it out and for the world to see and kind of make a change that way. But I understand the mentality of the person that wants to go to their house and say, "Look, dude, you make my
I
life
don't.
uncomfortable. I'm making yours uncomfortable." I understand it
I
because
don't.
I've been
I
angry
don't.
before.
Yeah, I've been angry lots of times, and I've gone to people's houses and committed acts at their house, and yet I don't understand it because when I did that, I was an immature young punk that didn't
Sure,
have rules. Um, this ain't the street. This is real life. This is maturity. This is the world in which we live in. This is our community. I agree with Kathy Phillips, who said that everyone should have privacy in their homes and the family should be kept safe
sure,
from the public. I agree with that. And I agree with Richard saying there's no difference. I mean, there's a big difference between protesting and intimidation. Here's my issue with this, Trinity. My issue is that yes, you may have a problem with a person, and you may want to reflect that problem to them, but when you go to somebody's home, you become in the wrong. This is not a place to do it. The family in which they have the kids, the children, the neighborhoods, the neighbors, that is not a place for you to ever protest. Now you've become wrong. And I'm very surprised that Hollywood, with all of its hating of people, the paparazzi being outside their fences and being outside their, because they have the walls, they have they have the security. Hollywood has always lived
yeah.
behind security and fences and big old
But they need
walls.
that
And
paparazzi
uh,
too, though. Let's
uh,
not
uh,
pretend like they don't.
I get it, but what I'm saying is they have been notorious for punching and hitting, running into paparazzi, for getting in their face.
Sure,
I've heard zero uprising from Hollywood. And this is your opportunity to say, look, we don't like it. They don't like it. There's got to be rules. You got to be off the property. You got to be away from it. Well, you know what? Politicians typically don't live behind a lot of walls and fences and stuff like that. A lot of them live in like those old type houses where there's the house right there. They don't have a
right,
lot of the same security measures
sure.
that Hollywood can afford. They don't have your millions of dollars, Hollywood. So where's the uprising? Why don't you jump up and say, let's make a law. If the current law is not working, let's strengthen the law. If the current
Right.
rules of protesting aren't being followed, then let's increase it. That will protect you, Hollywood guys and girls. This would protect you because this is what you want. How many times have one of you gotten in trouble for punching a paparazzi person or feeling violated? When you're trying to walk just to your car, people think that they can push you, punch you, say anything to you, spit on you, try to get Mike Tyson to punch them because then they can get a lawsuit. I'm serious. There's people of public figure have been saying for a long time, look, it's hard, man. You guys make it very difficult sometimes for us to go in public. Well, you know what? A politician didn't ask for that part. They're asking to serve. And a Supreme Court justice definitely didn't ask for that part. You cannot influence a judge. And you know what? You shouldn't be able to influence a judge.
No,
As a
you
matter of fact,
shouldn't.
if you can influence a judge, they shouldn't be a judge. Because
Correct.
just like Trinity said, their only job is to interpret law, not public opinion. 99% of the public could be completely against what they're voting for, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care if 99.9% of you are upset with what the Supreme Court justice is doing. You should not be able to influence them because that little 1%.
Yeah, that's not the way you do it. You do it through lawmakers.
Law. Change the law. You have a problem,
Yeah.
change the law. Come up with a better argument, a legal argument. But if they're making this decision, that's on them. And I'm not getting into the right or wrong of that. We did that last show. You can go to the last show. You can go watch it. You can see it. What I'm just simply saying is there should be rules to protesting, and every single one of you should be for that. Nobody should be okay with this. And it's funny because I've heard news broadcasters be like, yeah, we're against it, but hopefully this works. Yeah, we're against it, but hopefully they see that people want it different. See, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. You're acting like you understand that it's wrong, but then you're kind of like snickering in the back, going like, "See, people don't like it." No, it's not that people don't like it; those people don't like
Yeah.
it. That protester doesn't represent me. Sometimes a protester does represent me. Sometimes they do. But in this case, that protester does not represent me. I don't know enough about the legalities of what's going on for me to either go on either way on
Right.
this. But what I do know is that you media junkies out there, and that's everybody. All of us are media junkies, right? We're all people that anytime you post something, you're part of media, right?
Yep.
Keep saying that we're going to go to wire hangers and this is illegalizing abortion. And you know what? If this does that, I'm remember this tape, and I'll say you guys were right. But until that, I don't necessarily think that's true, and I don't think this country would ever go for that on a nationwide level. So I don't think that's true. But maybe I
Right.
could be wrong. I could be wrong. I'm going to say that right
I
now.
don't know.
I could be wrong. I don't know. But that's what you're telling everybody, and that's what they're saying when they're protesting. They're not looking at it like to protect individuals' rights other than saying stuff like that. But let's not go to their houses. Do not go to people's houses. Stay out of my neighborhood. You come into the neighborhood, that's a whole different rule of engagement that I'm going to abide by, and I'm totally allowed to do so. But we don't want to see Supreme Court justices wielding guns. We don't want to see them getting into physical altercations. That's destroying the fabric of who we are as a people. I think that's just wrong.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't disagree with that stance. I'm just saying I understand the mentality of the person that wants to. I mean, if you're angry and
Right.
you feel that these rules or things of that nature are affecting you in your home,
Right.
then you feel justified in going to their home. I don't think you are justified, but I get there is common ground there. I understand where you're coming from. I just don't think that that's the right approach to do it. And I agree with you that I think there should be rules in place, and I think that those rules should be enforced. That's the problem right now is there are rules in place that preventing them to go to the homes of these justices. It's just not being enforced for some reason.
Right.
And that I don't agree with. Like I said, it's a complex issue in the sense of I don't think anybody should be protesting Supreme Court justices, period, home or wherever. That's not. We have different branches of government in this country. We have 3 of them, and they're all separate for a reason. So if you don't like what the judicial branch is doing, then you go to the other branches or the legislative branch, and you have them make a different law. Like it's that simple. That's why we have a vote. You vote people in. Like for instance, Richard Coleman. I'm sure he stands for things. And Richard's running for a councilman, and he's going to have some version of local authority in your community.
Right.
And so if you're in his community in Carolina and he's running on a certain platform and you like his belief system and you think he's going to make changes in your community that you like, that's who you vote for. You do your research, you talk to them, you figure out what they're doing, and you make a vote.
Right.
And if we all collectively did that, we would realize that we actually run things in this country. We get so mad and so upset with these politicians and we blame them and blame them. They're just a reflection of us. Like they really only do what we let them get away with. At the end of the day, we keep voting them in because we as a collective don't really do our research. We get so focused on national matters that we don't do our local stuff. We don't pay attention to it. We listen to sound bites. We call that research. No, you didn't really research anything. You went on social media. You saw a couple posts. One of your good friends said something and made a good point that confirmed your own bias, and then that's how you run with it. That's not research. Right? Like that's not, you didn't actually go look you didn't read the bill. We have bills, which I know we're going to get into later on. There's a bill in this state right here. They called it the Don't Say Gay bill. There's the word gay is nowhere anywhere in that bill at all. But you have people
you're jumping the gun. You're jumping the gun.
I'm just saying. So, the protesting, do it the way it's supposed to be done. And if you don't like the laws, get them changed. Vote the people in who agree the same way you do.
Right. Yeah. I can't agree more. I mean, I just, it just bothers me. I just don't think that that ever gets us anywhere when you go to people's private residences of any type. And I don't care. And you know what else I don't like? I don't like you destroying abortion clinics, and I don't like you destroying pro-choice offices or buildings or places. I mean, I just think it's wrong. I think the threats are wrong. I don't like the writing that people put on the wall sometimes, whether they call them baby killers or whether they say, if you outlaw abortion, then, then I'm going to hurt you. I just don't like it. Either side. Both sides have its radicals, and both sides are wrong.
Yeah,
You know what
well,
I mean?
so Richard made a comment.
Those things aren't protesting. Those things are volatile.
So Richard made a comment that I think I don't want to go under the radar. Let me put it back up on there.
Okay.
He said, in my
Okay.
opinion, this is simply a product of a lack of raising or a moral standard in America. We no longer are a society that can lose with grace or fight with respect. I want to touch on that because I agree 100%. I don't know when this happened, but sometime in my lifetime, we turned into a country that if you disagree with me, you are now evil. You're racist.
Right.
You're this. You're that. Like, there's no longer, hey, you know what? You just got a different perspective, and you're allowed to
Right.
have that. Like, we just disagree. I don't know
Yeah.
when that went away, but like, that's not civility, guys. I mean, I can disagree with you and still be friends. Like, I can disagree with you. Like, shoot, Louis and I disagree all the time. We're still friends. My mom,
Right.
who's watching this, I'm sure we disagree. My wife, like, we don't agree on everything. I mean, that's
Right.
not. I'm not looking for a yes man. You know what I mean? Like, this idea though that you can't disagree without getting violent, without berating the other person, without thinking that the other person is some sort of evil
Right.
incarnate. Like,
Right.
when did that happen?
Yeah. And listen, and on top of that, 100% agree with you on that. And I'm going to add to it. Just because someone disagrees with you, you think they're idiots and you think they're wrong. I mean, look, maybe you might be wrong. Like I might be wrong on issues. I love saying that because on a lot of issues I might be wrong. But for me and where I'm at and where I sit in my world, it's what I feel and think. In my thinking and feeling isn't wrong. Isn't that what we're teaching our children? Oh, your thoughts are your thoughts. Your feelings are your
Yeah.
feelings.
Your
What
truth
you
is your
feel
truth.
is what you feel. If your truth is your truth, well, then what are you doing blaming someone else for their truth?
Yeah.
You know, if you can identify as feeling angry about something, someone can identify of supporting it.
Yep.
Look, you can't have it both ways. You can't protect your right of your body and your feeling and your thought and then get mad at someone else for how they treat their body, their thought, and and what they feel. So hate is hate, man. It really bothers me when people pretend, and I'm going to say pretend, you pretend to care about social people and social issues, but at the same time you use words like hate or you attack or you really think that someone's an idiot and you bad and you bash. You bash, you hate, you bully, you do all these things that are aggressive and you defend it all based on purpose, on your purpose. You might be wrong. And let me tell you something. Remember, there's protesters on both sides. So don't think just because you're a person that protests, like protesters have changed the world. Yeah, protesters have changed the world. They've changed society for the better. But there's always been protesters on the wrong side of that. There's protesters on both sides. Remember, so there's always been protesters against the changes that benefited the world. You might be on the wrong side. I really hate people thinking they know the future and always say, well, you'll see, you're on the wrong side of history. You'll see you're on the wrong side. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't possibly
There
know.
was people in this country that
history's gonna
protested
go.
ending slavery. There's people in this country who fought. They went to war to fight ending
Right.
slavery.
Right.
They were wrong.
Right. Right now, I can make a case for both sides. I can go along with the herd of angry people right now saying, you know, we're protecting women's rights, but I can also go along with the herd of happy people that are saying we're protecting the lives of babies. I mean, so you do know that could be framed like that, right? That you could say, look, we freed slaves, we freed women, now we're freeing babies. You could make that argument, but so many of you go, no, you can't make that argument. It's not about freeing babies. This is about a woman's right. And that's where you stop. It's like you have a stop point. Like, all of a sudden, you know, progression. You don't want to progress there. You think progression ended at woman. What if progression continues to the life of the baby? I don't know. I don't know what the right is. Here's what's beautiful. I don't have to know. I'm one individual, one vote, one opinion. That's what's beautiful. Now, if collectively we all feel a certain type of way, then we vote that way. Once those laws are in place, if the Supreme Court wants to support it, then that's their way. That's the correct way to do things. Not simply thinking because I think it, because my friends think it, then we all must be right. Everyone must be right.
Yeah.
No. And then everything I hear, look, again, I thought, look, we do know that Trump hasn't been in office for a while, right? Yet you guys throw around the left side. I'm talking to the left side specifically right now. You guys throw around this MAGA thing like it's a negative word. MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. You know what MAGA stands for, right? Make America great again. All right. If you could find the wrongness in those little four words, I don't know how you made that a redneck deal. I don't know how you guys made that a KKK deal, but it's not. It's not. There's a lot of people that, you know, they'll say MAGA is wrong, but then they'll say we should buy American. MAG is wrong, but we should make things within the United States. We need to have the American worker should have this. You guys think and feel the same way. You do know that, right? You're just saying it different, or like when you say it a certain way, all of a sudden it goes, oh yeah, that just doesn't sound right.
Right.
You know, I hear all this complaining about baby formula, and then you hear about baby formula going to illegal aliens, and Jesus, even me, I go, oh no, don't bring up illegal aliens. Leave us out of it. Leave us out of it. Leave us out of it. And I'm not saying us as an illegal alien. I'm saying us as Latinos. I don't want to be included in any of that. But I don't want anyone building up hate towards illegal aliens or building up hate towards Latinos. Hey, leave us alone. Leave Latinos alone. We're not in this argument. You know what I mean? You guys, this white black thing has been going on for a long time. Latinos, let's just step aside and let them fight this out again, because they seem to always have conflict with each other. You know what I mean? Let's just chill out on that. But what I am saying is that if you think if it wasn't Latinos, I would have a problem with it. I would be non-biased. I am biased because I'm Latino. I'm biased because I'm Latino. I know that. But if I wasn't, and you would say this formula is going to blankety blank other country or a citizen, I would have an issue with that. Especially when I'm hearing supposedly there's a baby formula shortage. So these we all need to realize that we all have biases. We all have our own personal opinions, but there's a right way to do it. And going to the Supreme Court Justice's house, that is not the way to do it. I just don't like it. I don't like don't come to my house. Don't go to their house. Don't go to anybody's house, because then we'll come to your house.
Yeah, right. All right, you ready to move on to the next topic here?
What is Marissa saying?
She was saying
I would have an issue. Yep. I admit it. Yep.
All right. So next,
let's give Marissa ultra MAGA.
Move on. Yeah,
that's funny.
So the next one is cryptocurrency, right? So we do have the last issue that we're going to go to, sexuality and gender in school, but to break it up just a little bit, we put cryptocurrency in there because that's something that is on the tip of everybody's tongue at the moment, and we've never really touched on it in great detail. So
why is that? Why haven't we talked about this? We both have money in crypto.
I think that's why. I think we're both invested in versions of crypto, and so I think we're reluctant to voice on it because I feel biased. But yeah, I mean we full disclosure, we're both invested in crypto, different ones. I know that the last couple days, crypto just completely tanked, all of them. But today they're all coming back up. So I mean they're up significantly today actually, and that was early this morning. So I do believe crypto is the wave of the future. I'm one of those guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, give us a normal we the middle kind of response or answer of what the hell is crypto, man? For people, what is it? Just a basic run of the mill kind of, like when you say cryptocurrency, I just want to see if I'm thinking the same thing you're thinking.
It's a digital currency basically that is very, very difficult to be hacked, and it's also difficult to be tracked. I think the main benefit to it is it gives individuals access to banking that don't normally have access to banking, right? In certain countries and certain places, people can't just walk in there and open up a bank account and trust that their money's safe and things of that nature. This gives those people an opportunity. It also cuts down a lot of the red tape and the bureaucracy when it comes to currency exchanges. And I found that out firsthand, believe it or not. So a buddy of mine, I won't say names because it's actually illegal, and he's a cop, by the way, which I think is funny. He's up in New York.
Wait, don't admit any crime on here, Trinity.
I didn't break any laws.
You said it's illegal.
Not for me. But anyways, no, he's up in New York.
Now you're a witness. Have you ever heard of conspiracy charges, brother? Because let me tell you something, that really helped me come to this side of the law. Knowing that conspiracy charges are real and the RICO Act is real, I stay nice and clean.
Well, either way, it was illegal for them to buy XRP up in New York. For whatever reason, New York just didn't allow it, wasn't allowed to be up there. And that was one of the ones that you and I talked about, and we liked kind of, where it was going. And so he wanted to get in on it. He couldn't. So what he ended up doing was buying some Bitcoin, transferring it to me. I bought the XRP for him and then transferred the XRP to him. And we were able to do that, without Uncle Sam watching over our back and kind of deciding what we can and can't do. So I saw firsthand the freedom that it can give you. And I like that. I like the lack of bureaucratic kind of, infestation. We were just two people wanting to do something, we could do it. Do I think that there's a downside? Of course, there's always a downside. I mean, people act like people don't, use cash to buy drugs and kill hitmen or hire hitmen. And come on, man, cash has been around.
Crypto makes it easier.
Does it though? I mean,
Yes.
does it?
Yes.
What's easier than cash?
There's a specific coin for well, no, dude, cash is not easy, by the way. As a person that had
Well,
to
not those amounts.
bring and send money to different countries, cash is very difficult to send out of the country.
Yeah, in
And
those
to
amounts, yeah.
take out of the country, yeah.
But
So
I could
crypto
walk
would have been
across
so
any
much
border
easier.
with $100 on my pocket. Nobody's gonna say a
$100.
word.
100, yes. Yeah.
So, anyways, my point is I at the end of the day, what makes it different is the blockchain stuff, where essentially it's backed up on multiple computers at once as opposed to one thing. Where
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and explain blockchain because frankly I don't
Yeah,
understand it all.
yeah. Forget that.
But I will say though that I do believe that cryptocurrency is going to be the future. Do I think that we're going to have 700 different ones? Probably not. There'll be like 2 or 3 that are the major ones that most people have, which it's already kind of happening with Bitcoin and Ethereum. But the naysayers who say it's not, I think a lot of those people are just trying to hold on to power. I think
So you think?
I think the naysayers are either people who are just overwhelmed and confused and just don't want to do anything with it, or the people who have a very vested interest in keeping the status quo the way it is.
Right.
And I think both of those people are just wrong. I think crypto is going to be the wave that the future is going to have.
Right. So do you think that everybody should have a little piece in it? Should put some money in it?
I don't think you should ever invest what you can't afford to lose. So, I mean, I think if you're in a position where you have some extra money and you can afford to lose it, if it doesn't go the way you want it to go, then it's not a bad investment, right? I mean, let's say you have like $100, right? If $100 isn't a tremendous amount of money for you, if it's something that you can afford, maybe it's something you would blow this weekend on just going out to eat or whatever. Maybe you don't go out to eat this weekend and you put it into something. And you never know. Maybe it turns out well for you. I also am a believer in the stock market too, though. Like I think if you have the ability to get into stocks, I think you should. Like I'm a firm believer in investing in yourself as opposed to just blowing money.
What about that question right there? Richard's asking from what is he on Facebook Live? Facebook Live, Richard Coleman.
Yeah, he's on Facebook. He says, "How easy is crypto to freeze or keep people from using if they are targeted?" I don't know what you mean by targeted. I will say though that like right now I have crypto, but I have it in a I have it in a ledger basically, which is off the internet, so nobody can do anything. It's essentially like cash in my pocket. And if the cryptocurrency that I have is accepted as a form of payment, then yeah, I can just walk up and pay with it. At the moment, I'd have to convert it, but at some point we might not have to. Like for instance, if the crypto in reference is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's widely accepted in many different places. So if I have Bitcoin in my pocket, nobody even knows I have it. I can go pay for it. So it would be very difficult to freeze in that instance, I think.
Right.
But I don't know all that. Once again,
Right.
I don't know all the ins and outs of it.
Right. Well, I know Dana doesn't get it. Dana doesn't get it.
Most people don't.
Anytime I'll tell her, and if I say no for anything, you know what I mean? And not that I have the power to say no, but we're a couple. So when there's money to be spent and we talk about it, I like to use the word no. No is a very, very healthy word. No. I think no, I wish that no meant no, but it doesn't. Not in this case. And so when we have these conversations, I'll be like, nah, babe, let's not do that. She'll always go, what about that money you have in crypto? Can we use that? It's like she looks at it like invisible, like when is that going to do something? And here's the thing with crypto. So this is the thing with crypto. Even though I said I'm putting this money in this cryptocurrency for 5 years, babe. 5 years, that's it. But she saw these reports, and I used some of these reports to convince her that we're going to stick some money in there for 5 years. These kids that all of a sudden became millionaires. Weirdly, I've treated a couple of people that were completely broke in the real world, living in cars, homeless, drug addicted. You know how they paid for treatment? Crypto. They pulled out crypto cash and they had thousands and thousands of dollars. But drug dealers weren't taking crypto at the time. So good job, thankfully. So anyway, so I had told her these stories, right? So I used that stuff to say, look, stock market, we know percentages, small percentages, right? You put money in securities and you put money in stocks, bonds, things like that. You get small percentages, a half a point, 1 point, 3% max, on your money after a year. I said, this has some weird potential. This has potential like blowing up. You can get 400% on your money. You can get thousands of percent on your money. So why not, right? It's not a big risk when you don't put a lot of money in it, but there's a huge upside to it. And so But I think what it's doing is it's giving our younger generation. This is where I think the stock market's going to go away if crypto continues, because the young generation is no longer satisfied with making pennies on their
Yeah.
dollar.
Yeah.
Because now they all have this outrageous. I know so many of them that take their whole paycheck, especially if they still live at home. They take their whole paycheck and stick it on Bitcoin. The
Yeah.
whole paycheck. It's like, wait a minute. That's not the way any kind of investment should be, where you put 100% of your money in one thing. That's not diversification. Plus, when you take money and you're not, if the younger generation is not putting it in the stock market, that's a lot of companies that really depend on the movement of our funds and the movement of our money, for things to operate. So I'm a little bit torn on how this is going to affect not only the our brain, which is it's crypto is like the fast food of investing. It's like, I want it now, I want it now, I want to make money now. Because you could look at it 24/7, man. I even found myself doing it before. Oh, it went up 5 cents. It went up,
Right.
like that commercial says, I'm a millionaire. I'm not a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. I'm not a
Yeah.
millionaire.
Yeah.
That is exactly what crypto is like. But what is that doing to our expectations, Trinity, in regards to the reality of investing? And what is that doing to our ability to invest in something that may be a little bit safer for the long haul and for retirement? I feel there's a lot of younger people that are going to be putting money in things that it really should be in some stable retirement as well. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to say, don't play video games. You're never going to get paid by playing video games. And then we see what happens. But I guess you see my point, right? I'm a little concerned
I
about
think
that.
I think it's gonna change them both. I think it's gonna change our expectations, but I also think it's gonna change investing as we know it. Because, I mean, look what happened with the whole GameStop thing, right? Like so the internet has done some really horrific things to society,
Mhm.
to people, to relationships. The list goes on. But it's also done a lot of really good things too.
Right.
It's been able to bring notoriety and eyeballs to things that didn't previously have them. It's been able to make major change where previously it would have been almost impossible to do. And I think
Mm.
right now it's awoken a lot of people to the idea
Mhm.
of investing, and it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be the way it once was, right? Like the
Mhm.
GameStop thing showed a chink in the armor to the man, right?
Right.
In this instance, the man were these massively powerful, built multi-billion-dollar companies who,
Right.
based upon the documentaries that I've seen, let's face it, they kind of hedge their bets, right? They control the market. It really is difficult for the little man to come in there and make billions of dollars. It's very difficult to do. Yeah, is it technically possible? Sure, but it's really difficult, and you're going up against this massive entity, right? And they have these things called dark pools, man, where they're selling. It's a lot deeper than I ever thought it was when I started
Yeah.
watching some of this stuff and how much they control the market, right?
Right.
And so finally, though, with the internet and crypto and everything else, the little man was like, well, wait a minute. We know just enough to be a thorn in your side and make things a little bit difficult. So they started messing with GameStop, and those
Mhm.
massive companies lost billions of dollars in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And then instead of letting them win, what they did was they changed the rules of the game in the middle of the
Right.
game, right? And,
Right.
and so I think what that did is it awoke certain sleeping giants, and there's
Woke.
now,
Woke.
yeah, it woke them up. It's but what it's causing now is certain regulations and stuff are starting to come into play. Like they overplayed their hand, and now they woke people up who are starting to make some changes. So,
Well.
um, moving forward, I think that it's going to change both. I think it's going to change
Right.
both our expectations. This idea of getting a 2% return or 3% return annually and being happy with that, those are
Right.
going by the wayside. But also the idea that you have to do it this way, I think it's also going by the wayside.
Well, maybe because when you steal from the rich man on Wall Street in those companies, what you're forgetting is that's a lot of regular people's money in that rich man's control on Wall Street. Your
Sure.
parents' retirement, my parents' retirement, the world's retirement is there. So you can act like attacking a rich man is not going to create a ripple that's going to hurt all of us. But when you destroy large corporations and large companies and the rich man, you actually affect everybody, which is what we're
Yeah.
seeing right now with gas prices, what we're seeing right like with food prices, food shortages, this shortage, that shortage, because when you start attacking and squeezing companies and not allowing them to perform, they struggle. When they struggle, look, they still have to meet a bottom line. They still have to feed their families too. I think many people in this world think that the janitor and the frontline worker is the only worker that matters, That's not true, man. Every
Right.
person on that chain matters.
Yeah.
Everybody. You may be focused on those that are your coworkers, but that doesn't make people in different levels of work wrong and evil. Everyone's equally as important. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
If you were making $250,000 a year, would you be in the same position? You think you would. You might think you would. I could see somebody else say, I would feed this and I would donate 50%. Yeah, sure you would. Let me tell you something. When you're writing a check to somebody else for $100,000 or $200,000, let's talk then. But until then, let's not have this conversation. When it's free money, maybe it feels like, but when you work hard for it, and these people do work hard. You know, a lot of these people that are super rich, they wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning when you're still, probably going to bed, and they're working, and they work all the way until the night, and all day long they work, and every holiday they work. They're not just hanging around in Aruba. They're not. I think
Yeah.
regular everyday people take a hell of a lot more vacations than the wealthy take. To be honest with you, take a lot more time off and relaxation time and spend a lot more time with their families than the wealthy. I've treated a lot of wealthy people. They're really not spending all that time with their family. They're spending all that time, typically building businesses and opportunities for a lot of people. So what I view crypto though, now that's a separate issue. So when I view crypto, I look at it like something that's very confusing, but the upside seems to be really cool. Like you said, Trinity, if you invest in it, something that you can live with to lose. Then that's fine. If you have diversified your portfolio, then I think you should diversify your portfolio with crypto. Obviously, we're big fans of some certain crypto. I mean, should we say it? I mean, why can't we say it, Trinity? Why can't we tell people to go buy a certain one if we want them to?
Well, I'm not going to
Doesn't
tell
that
people
help
to
us?
buy anything, but I will say the ones that I'm invested in.
I say go buy it because you'll help me. No, not really. No. But I mean, like, look, we're not brokers. We're not financial geniuses. We're not people that are qualified to tell you which ones to buy. But I have no problem telling you where my money in crypto is. I got money in Bitcoin. I got money in Ethereum. I got money in XRP. Those are the main ones. There's a couple of smaller ones other than that, but those are really the three that I pay attention to. When one goes up, they all go up. When one goes down, they all go down. That's what I see.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also in XRP and Bitcoin, and then I have some in XLM, which you do as well.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
I don't have any Ethereum yet, but
Ethereum has been a good producer, man. So
yeah.
It has a lot of good upside to it that I've liked and enjoyed. So I mean, those are the three that I stick to. And I mean, they create them every day, and
There's new ones all the time.
Yeah, I don't really pay attention to that. I mean, the one I'm really most interested in is to be honest with you, is those three. But XRP probably has the most upside that I hope, because I bought in so cheap, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when it was down to less than 40 cents, when it was down less than 40 cents over the weekend, I bought more.
Yeah, I did not, but I thought about it. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I've got friends with a considerable amount of coins.
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't know. I definitely think though that crypto is going to be the future moving forward. This idea that it's going to die down, it's a fad. I don't buy into that at all. I think that we're moving in that direction.
Right,
everything's becoming digital, man. I mean, right now, even think to yourself, when was the last time you really carried cash? You know what I mean? Some do, of course, there's outliers, but the average person today isn't walking around paying for things in cash. They're just not. They're paying with either credit cards. They're paying with credit cards. They're paying with Apple Pay. They're not using cash very much. It's just it's a really inconvenient thing to do these days.
You're right. But I do like the guys on TV that go buy silver, buy gold, buy silver, buy gold. You're right.
Sure. Tangible
You're
thing.
right. I agree. I think you should have silver and gold.
Sure. Why not?
Again, don't come to my house. Because I might have silver, I might have gold, but I also have bullets. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
So it's just one of those kind of things. But yeah, you should have things that make you feel comfortable. Land has always made me feel comfortable. Property makes you feel comfortable. I think you should own rather than rent. I think renting is just, paying someone else's mortgage, which is why my children are focused on purchasing rather than renting.
Best decision I ever made when I was 20 years old is I bought the house that I'm currently in right now. And this house has given me a place to stay. It's provided, for my family, and it's most likely going to provide for my retirement at some point in the future.
All right. So enjoy it. Hopefully you all play a little bit in crypto. I'm curious to see, which ones you like and, why. I don't have no problem saying it. XRP is my favorite. That I want. That's the one that I want to see produce the best.
You and me both, brother. You and me both.
be honest with you. XRP. So if you want to play XRP with us, get an XRP game with us and get some XRP, and I want to hear about it. But I think that's cool. All right, next topic.
The next one and the last one is the the current laws and the current argument / debate that's been happening. And it kind of started here in our own state of Florida.
Oh my God.
Louisiana's on board now. I think there's other states that are starting to talk about it. But the hotly debated topic of if and when to teach sexuality / gender fluidity to children in school.
Wait, what? Gender what?
Fluidity, meaning fluid. You could be a boy or a girl or X or whatever you want to call yourself.
But fluidity kind of means it fluctuates.
Well,
from day to day.
There's no rule that says it doesn't.
So wait, what are we saying the schools should do or should not? What is happening legally then? What?
So legally, like I'll do Florida because I'm more well.
Yeah, let's just do Florida. Let's do Florida. People could tell us about their state.
So right now there was a law that was recently signed in through our governor, Ron DeSantis.
Okay.
It was publicly, for those who did not support it, you might remember it being referred to as the "Don't Say Gay" bill.
Oh yeah, Channel 13 was all up about that, and every news network on TV.
Correct. However, if you looked into the actual bill, first and foremost, the word "gay" never appeared in it. Number two, it had nothing to do with saying gay or not saying gay. Essentially, the nuts and bolts of the bill was saying from school ages from K to 3, so kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and third grade, they did not want the teachers as part of the curriculum in a public school to talk to or teach the children about transgenderism and gender fluidity.
Okay, so
they didn't want to basically talk to the kids from K to 3 about boys becoming girls, girls becoming boys, and vice versa, and all the in between.
So this had to happen because apparently somebody was wanting to talk about this.
Even that has been debated, right? Some individuals claim that it's being, it's a widely accepted topic in schools, while others claim that it's not. I don't know, I don't know what kind of proof or evidence they have on either side of it. I just know that somebody felt strongly enough about it to actually create a bill saying we're going to make a rule that says you can't do that. And then there's other people out there who got really upset and said that you shouldn't make that rule. So take that for what you want it to be.
So, well, all right. Both of us have had kids.
I still do.
Yeah. I'm more used to schools throughout my life of dealing with schools, either me being in it or having children in it. I'm more used to schools saying we don't touch on those issues because we just teach these things. Those are your parent responsibility. That's for you to teach. Your religion is for you to teach. That's why we don't pray in school or have religion in school. Your faith and your belief system, your philosophies, that's yours. So that's why we don't teach that in school unless a specific class based on it. So what you're saying is there was either a fear or a reality that schools decided to get into the game of teaching something very specific that is this controversial. And the only reason it's controversial is because we are in a world where many people do have faiths, and it doesn't mean they're wrong. It means that you might not have their faith, but we can't get angry with someone for having a faith and a belief in something different than this, especially when faith and science seem to be aligned. How often? All right, so Trini, how often in our lifetime? How often in our lifetime? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. How often in our lifetime has faith and science been aligned?
Yeah, I don't remember any, to be honest with you. That was always the fight, right? It was faith for science,
right?
So yeah, this is the first time.
But on this topic, they're aligned. Right?
Yeah, for the most part.
They're aligned. I mean, I learned chromosomes. Like, are you telling me they're going to change that class? Like when I had to learn about XY chromosomes, is that no longer the case?
No. So I'm going to do my best I'm not an expert in this by any means,
Yeah.
I have my own personal views on this, obviously.
Right. Well, maybe we should
It,
preface it by both of us are not anti-gay, so nobody try to
no,
frame this as an anti-gay conversation
yeah, no.
because then you're wrong. All right, so go ahead.
It's my understanding that the individuals who are arguing the four in this situation, I guess, are their belief system is sex and gender are two different things. There's biological sex, which is what you were born with, the chromosomes and the sexual organs, and then there's
Right.
gender, which is a construct. I don't personally
Wait, is
go
that
on that.
true?
What was what
Gender
true?
is a construct?
That's their
So
perspective.
gender is an opinion? Gender's not a fact?
That's they separate sex and gender. I don't personally operate under that belief system. I think now once again I'm not in that camp, so I can't speak for them, but I've watched quite a few debates on this and listened to different arguments. The conclusion that I've come to is and once again, by any means, if anybody's watching this, feel free to correct me.
Yeah, please.
It appears to me as if they have decided essentially that like certain masculine traits are thereby man and certain feminine traits are thereby female, meaning it's a construct. Not to make it oversimplistic, but like getting in there and doing dishes is woman's work, kind of a thing. And if you don't, or like little girls like to play with dolls, little boys like to play with GI Joes. Well, maybe their little girl wants to play with GI Joes, and so it's not a gender thing. But for me personally, that's not how I identify gender.
Yeah,
Like
me neither.
just because you like to do certain things or you believe a certain way or you conduct
Right.
yourself a certain way, to me that does not describe your male manness or your womanness.
Right.
So that's where I fundamentally kind of disagree with this concept myself. Having said that, before we get in too deep into the weeds on that one, as it
Right.
pertains to schooling, as somebody who has four kids, right, and three of them are still in school, one graduates next week. My two little ones are still very much in middle school, get ready to go into high school. My daughter
Right.
has come to me and has had quite a bit to say about sexuality and what you are, what you aren't, things of that
Uh-huh.
nature. And the thing I kept trying to tell her was maybe right now you're none of those things. Right now you're a kid. And right now you should focus on being a kid and going with whatever feelings you have. Those are natural, but don't try to label. Don't be in such a rush right now to label things. Right? If you haven't been sexually active with anybody, then you don't know what you are. Right? You have attractions, but that's like me telling you I'm a millionaire. I can't really call myself a millionaire until I have $1 million in the bank. I might want to be a millionaire. I might think it's great, but I'm not really one yet. And so what I was trying to tell my daughter was like, look, I don't care what you end up being in life, what path you go down, but I would prefer for you to wait to address that when it's really necessary. And in the
Right.
meantime, focus on just being a kid. Enjoy being a kid. Leave these complicated, complex things until later on, right? Because how many little girls were tomboys who in today's world would be labeled as transgender, but they were just tomboys. Now they're very girly now. Like so, you have your whole life to worry about these things and think about them. And I don't really feel comfortable with my children's school teaching them whatever their belief system is as opposed to I want my children to learn reading, writing, and arithmetic when they go to school. I want them to learn things that's going to help them hold down a job, help them be productive as adults, help them buy a house and have a family. I want the school to teach them those things. I would rather myself and my family be responsible with teaching them about sexuality and gender and things of that nature personally. So I'm for the bills that have been put in place for not talking to
Right.
them from K through third. Because once again, we're not talking about high school here. We're not talking about secondary education and college. We're talking about kindergarten to third grade. I don't think my children from K to 3 were interested, let alone able to really comprehend the complexities of everything that's included. Not to mention, and I know I'm going on here, but I have a lot to say about this one. Over the last couple of years, so had you my perspective has been enlightened more so in the last couple of years than it ever has been. And that's because we've had COVID. So my daughter, who's graduating high school next week, a couple of years ago when COVID was really kind of hitting, we were doing homeschooling. And it's one thing, as you know, when I pick up my kids from school, I ask them every day, how was your day? What'd you learn? And whatnot. It's one thing to hear them give me their interpretation of what they walked away with. Once again, it's usually like a little 20-second snippet of their entire 8-hour day.
Right.
It's another thing though when my daughter was here day in and day out, and I could hear the teachers teaching them through the computer. So I got to hear some of the stuff that was being said, and I was not happy with it. I actually ended up writing a note or an email to the principal, to which the principal said to me, "Hey, you know what? You're 100% right. That's inappropriate." And he talked to the teacher, but essentially it was a history class, and the teacher was giving their political views on the current election that was happening, and they were giving a bunch of rhetoric and
Right.
their one-sided belief, which, hey, if that's what you're going to do, fine, but you need to have the other side on there as well to give their opinion. Otherwise, you're indoctrinating now, because you're
Right.
not appreciating the power and the influence you have, because you're the authority in the room. And so
Right.
I would rather them stuck to their curriculum. So having experienced that, the idea that then those individuals are also going to be in charge of trying to influence my children when it comes to sexuality and gender based upon their own belief systems, their own histories, or whatever, I'm not comfortable with that. That's not why I send my children to public school. So I'm for the
Right.
laws that are being put in place. I know I talked a lot there, but I had a lot to say. So.
Yeah. And I kind of agree with this thing that Marissa's saying. I never knew my teacher's political leanings.
Yes.
Neither did I. I don't think we should. And I'm going to venture to say that these teachers, they don't necessarily say they're giving a political leaning. They're probably saying, I'm saying fact, or these are facts.
Yes. Yes.
Just like if, anytime you give an alternative fact, you hear them say, oh, you must saw that on Fox, which is one channel, instead of the
Yeah.
other channels, as if CNN never lies. Look,
Yeah.
they're all leaning. CNN leans, Fox leans, Channel 13 here locally leans, and it's not supposed to. It's not a political news, and it leans. It's very obvious in many of the things they say and focus on, and the stories they give. All shows lean. The TV shows lean. You can hear what they say.
Yeah.
We talked about video games last week. The video games lean now. They give you
Yeah.
their political opinion. Everybody leans, and so the point that the school is we have to protect our schools from leaning. We just do. I think it's important to protect our school from leaning, just like anywhere else. I mean, more than anywhere else. Look, we definitely want them to know math. We want them to know science, and science isn't fluid. Right? Science isn't fluid. But saying that doesn't mean that when you're an adult, if you choose a certain path, that's on you. If you choose a certain path because you feel like, I've always been this way, I've always felt like this way, then by the time you're an adult, you're going to realize, man, it's a constant. Then it's a pattern of thought. It's a pattern of thinking. And if there's a pattern, then go with it, man. Go for it. Nobody should ever fault you for that. But if you would have jumped that gun too early, it's almost like getting that tattoo too early, right? Like, have you ever seen people's tattoos that they got when they were teenagers?
Of course.
Yeah. It's never the tattoo they would have gotten at 30. It's never. It's always, that's where you see the little Scooby-Doos. That's where you see the little pot leaves. You don't
Right.
find a lot of 30-year-olds going out there and just getting a really crappy little pot leaf
Sure.
tattoo. Or a 420 tattoo or a little Snoopy tattoo. That's typically, something that people get when they're kids, because it's
Right.
when you're younger, you just have different likes. I love that one. What was that thing that Richard had said? Let's put that back up there. He had said, sorry, my 6 to 9 year olds kids have a hard time deciding on cheeseburgers versus chicken fingers, let alone deciding
Yes.
their gender. I agree with that. Also, let's not forget one major aspect of this as a counselor. And now I'm going to come to you from a professional opinion.
Oh boy.
And not those therapists that are out there just on the bandwagon. From a real professional opinion, where people are traumatized to the point where they start using drugs and alcohol, and they start cutting themselves and hurting themselves and get suicidal. I'm going to come for you from that perspective. A lot of times when you're dealing with young children and they come to you with these adult topics of feeling a certain type of way or thinking a certain type of way, many, many times it's not from a scientific or a gender fluidity thing. It's from an abuse thing. It's from either sexual trauma or somebody berating somebody, either, abusing that person. Now, we should get to the bottom of that first, right? We should get to the bottom of why is this topic even in a young child's head in the first place? Because if somebody would
Agreed.
have done that with my life, If they would have backtracked the behaviors I was exhibiting and start asking the right questions and looking at the real details, they would have known early on something that I didn't come to realize until I was, 24 to 26 years old. I was about 24, 25 years old. It took me that long to realize that something had happened to me as a little kid. That's a long time. Now, but if I look back and I go, how did nobody ever see the signs? Well, because we weren't taught signs. So instead of trying to immediately use a child to fulfill your personal agenda because of your pains and sufferings, I'm not trying to do that. I'm simply trying to say there was something that obviously happened that if your kid starts talking about sexuality or sexual issues, you should start talking to that kid. Real early on, somebody would probably said, man, did something happen to Louis? You know, whether it be physical, sexual, did something happen to this kid? Because look at the way he's exhibiting his behaviors. Instead, go in the corner, shut up, sit down, shut up, sit down. What I'm saying is that's where we should be and where we should stay. We should stay is maybe be watchful and communicate it. I have no problem with that. And sometimes schools overstep their bounds in that. We've had shows on that, Trinity. We've had conversations on that. Sometimes they overstep their bounds and they see a trauma or pain where there's not trauma and pain. However, I'd rather err on the side of caution rather than err to the side of identification and labeling. For a group, and I'm going to say usually the socially progressive group does not like labeling, right? That's been the history. Don't label me. Don't label me. Don't identify me by anything. Well, then let's not identify and let's not label. Let's let it evolve. I prefer the sexual evolution in your own head to evolve into whatever you want it to be, but let's rule out that it comes there by way of sexual trauma or maybe the likes and dislikes you have are based on some sexual trauma. Let's talk about that. Let's rule that out. Stuff that we never talk about for some reason, never gets talked about. We know that there's many males that have been sexually abused, and luckily mine was from a woman. But if it was a man, I would have probably never admitted it. Not even on this show. I probably would have never admitted it due to shame and other reasons. I would have probably stayed silent my entire life, never admitting to my family, never admitting to myself that I was sexually traumatized by a man. Luckily, it was a woman, and therefore, for some reason, I just feel a little bit more open and able to do that, right? But, that was a trauma issue, right? So what if it was a man? So instead of me liking older women all my life, and always seeking out that older woman all my life. What if it was a man that had abused me and I started seeking out men all my life? So you would have said that I was born that way? You would have said that I should be able to identify that way? Instead of ever realizing, no, I was sexually abused to think that was a good feeling. I was sexually abused to believe that was a normal feeling, and that the society just didn't want me to have that feeling. And all the manipulation and lies that person was telling me was actually the reality. And those were good things that they were saying, that was the right person. That wasn't the wrong person. That's what you would have been telling me. No. Luckily, it was an older woman. And as I realized, wow, man, why am I so attracted to older women? Then it clicked, man. An odor one day, a smell one day in public. I know I was actually in the garage when a flood of memories came through. And when that flood of memories came through and hit me, it was like visions. All these little memory pictures came and just like they say in the movies, just like they say. And I curled up in a little ball, and I'm 24, 25 years old. I'm already a counselor. I'm already counseling people, and I find myself. My wife finds me in the tub, curled up in a fetal position, just tearful about it. Like, I can't believe that actually happened to me. And I really did that. I really did the stereotypical, curled up and going, oh my God, I can't believe that happened to me.
Right.
Now, once I admitted it to her and talked about it, it was like, oh my God, I was relieved. I was relieved because then it made everything make sense. It made so many things make sense of why I was active the way I was. I was never satisfied the way I was, the way I liked the things that I liked and all. It all made sense.
Yeah.
So let children evolve. If you want to talk to them, but there's a lot of therapists out there, and I'm going to point to you because I've fired a lot of you before, who push people to believe there's abuse when there's no abuse, push people to look at their parents a certain way when they shouldn't. Let some of that evolve. Listen, and help them process. Don't guide, don't identify, don't push your own personal freaking agenda. Listen, keep your ears open and help them process what feelings they're experiencing. We don't give advice. We don't give identification. We don't label. Not if you're a real therapist or a counselor. You don't do that. So we as a society, if therapists aren't supposed to do that, if counselors are supposed to do that, then you think a teacher should?
Exactly.
You think anyone that you're sending your kids should? Absolutely not.
No.
We don't want that. The only way we should be teaching this subject in a school is from only a scientific perspective, not a religious perspective, not a socially appropriate perspective. Only from a scientific perspective. And
at an age appropriate time.
At an age appropriate time. But let them know socially there's going to be a lot of things that may be flowing through your mind, and you're going to be able to explore those things later on. But right now, we're going to stick to the X's and Y's, and even the XXYs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the examples that's brought up is they kept saying the people who are for it were saying that there's many times where maybe one of the students sees that another student has two dads and asks them about that.
Right.
And to be honest with you, as a parent, I want them to say, well, you should go home and ask your mom about that or your dad about that.
Right.
And when my kids come to me and ask me about that, I'll sit down and I'll explain to them, what's going on there. Like, it's not the school's job. Like, you don't have to explain every single thing. That's not stay in your lane. Your lane is to teach, whatever subject you're in at that moment. And that's what you should stay focused on. And if it's outside of your purview, say, hey, that's a question for your parents. It's
I'm
that
pretty
simple.
sure it's not the science class. I'm pretty sure it's not the science. I'm going back in my head to all my science teachers. I can't see them having this conversation. I really can't.
No, probably not.
No, they wanted the Bunsen burners. They wanted me to open an eyeball up. I don't see the science teachers saying, "Hey, I want to change my curriculum." That's not the case. And here's the other thing. I do realize, and it's very unfortunate. I do realize that there's a small percentage of individuals that are born with both sets of genitalia, but I don't think there's as many to change a whole thing. You know what I mean? Like there's also a percentages of people that are born with all kinds of other disabilities, but we don't change the world for that. There are smaller percentages of individuals. I'm going to stick to the easy one: blindness. We have actually schools for the blind for that purpose, right? Because our schools just aren't. They're just not made for blind people. They just aren't. And we've had blind people for how long? How long have these poor blind people suffered with an injustice? The injustice of the world, right? Like it is really horrible. Can you imagine being born blind? Like nothing is made for blind people, man. Everything has to be specific for blind people, So we have special schools for that. Now, so if there are things like this, then maybe we should develop specific places for people who are that obviously going to be questioning that. So like if the doctors test real early on and they see this child was born with two sets of genitalia or blankety blank, or the chromosomes are lined up in a way where we know this person's going to have to make a decision which way to go or no way to go. They can make the decision and not pick. Right. Then you can identify that child at birth. Right? We don't need to wait till kindergarten, and we don't need a teacher to identify it. The doctor could do it right there at birth.
Right.
So I don't know. It's a complex issue, and
very complex.
The sad thing is that although we've grown up in a very homophobic time at Trinity, because I know I grew up in a very homophobic time around a lot of homophobia. I have come to love my gay brothers and sisters, and I really do enjoy that community tremendously. And so I don't want to be put in a situation where I have to disagree with them as a community or fight with them as a community or be hated by them as a community. Because I really feel like, I love how many times have I said it even on the couch live when talking addiction? I am inspired by the gay community because they were able to come out and be proud. And I think that addicts should also be able to come out and say, look, I've been addicted to something, my recovery, I'm loud and proud of my recovery. I have molded my outness in my recovery. I've molded it based on the gay community and how they came out and forward and very proud. In their own ways. So I think that really needs to be important. We need to be able to have these discussions without being labeled as homophobic as well, or labeled as people that are hate than love.
As an example of that, right? I'm a firm believer personally of there's two genders, there's male and female, and that's based upon biology. Having said that, we both know people who are in the transgender community. And if I know that they were born a man or a woman and they want me to refer to them as a different pronoun, I'm going to, because I'm not rude. If that's the way they choose to live their life, then I'm going to refer to them by their pronoun that they choose. But that doesn't mean that it's fact, right? Like I'm not going to change in my mind the definition of the word because you prefer to be called something different. Does that make sense? Like,
Right.
so do I think if you all of a sudden came to me tomorrow and said that you want to be referred to as Linda, and you're a woman now, I would start calling you she, and I would call you Linda because that's the way you are. But do I think that you're actually a woman with the woman reproductive organ? No, I don't. I think you're a dude who wants to be a woman. So, but out of respect for you, I would refer to you by those pronouns. Like I don't have a problem with any of that. I just don't like this idea that we have to start changing the definitions of words. Like we don't do that in any other area of our lives. Why that?
Right.
So,
and I'd want to rule out whether you got there via sexual trauma. I'd want to rule out whether this is something that you're struggling with because of some issue that may have happened to you. I just want to rule that out. That's important.
I agree.
To because it's not gonna stop there. Because if it did get there by that, it's not gonna end there. It's going to continue into certain things that you may want, like do, that could be self-destructive that you need to look into. And so just by identifying a certain type of way doesn't end the emotional struggle you're having on the inside. Don't think that Miss Jenner doesn't have other issues that require therapeutic intervention or attention just because one issue has changed. The deeper rooted issues that were there and present prior to that are probably still there prior to that, and let's dealt with. And
I think that's indicated in the suicide rates. The trans community has the highest suicide rate. I think it's ridiculously high. And that rate doesn't go down after surgery.
Right.
So before or after surgery, their suicide rate stays about the same, and it's like 4 times higher than the rest of the world.
That's right. And here's another thing, and I'll pretty much end with this is at least for me personally, Trinity, and I want to know your opinion on this and our audience's opinion on this. But to me, your adjectives are a hell of a lot more important to me than your pronouns. Because, like I always say, loud, proud, and passionate are my adjectives now. I'm going to start putting that behind my name, loud, proud, and passionate, because those are my adjectives. And I think a lot, I could be identified, and I choose to identify you people by your adjectives rather than your pronouns, because if you're a jerk off, you're a jerk off. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care what you pretend to be. I don't care if you identify as cool. If you're a jerk, you're a jerk. And so I think that's what's important. I think that our actions, our behaviors, how we treat other people, we should be identified by how we live and how we treat others, not by the color of our skin, not by the gender, not what I'm swinging, what I'm not swinging. That is so far in the past. That's going backwards. That's not progressive. That's backwards. Wanting to label or take away a label, that's going backwards. Your adjectives is what's important. I'm loud, I'm proud, and I'm passionate. You want to throw other adjectives on there? I love it. But when you compliment somebody, you don't compliment them by their gender. Wow, you're such a man. That's not a compliment. Or you're such a woman. That's not a compliment. But when you say, you're a very loving person, you're a caring person, you're very kind. Those are adjectives. That's what matters. Pronouns don't freaking matter. And the fact that a therapist or any person in some sort of socially superior status or belief is telling you that your pronouns is what matters and that's going to change your life, that's not going to change your life. That's never going to change your life, because I hear a lot of people that have changed their pronouns still be jerky to people they shouldn't have to be jerky to. Now you're a hateful person?
Yeah.
So it didn't make you a better person. No, man. Look, all of us should just throw away all the freaking pronouns if you want. Throw them all away if you want. I don't care. You can do whatever you want, man. But just your adjectives matter. And I just choose to be a loving, caring person. And like I said, loud is the first one. So obviously you just heard me be loud. And you could throw opinionated in there. And that doesn't mean I'm right. I'm probably wrong a lot of the times, but it's my opinion. And I'm allowed to be wrong. That's the beautiful thing about being.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What do you think? Oh, look, Richard Coleman has some adjectives.
Yeah, he says his adjectives are handsome and brilliant. There you go, Richard.
See, he identifies as handsome. He's allowed to.
That's right.
That's
all I got, man. I gotta actually go pick up my kids from school here in a little bit. So.
Oh my God, that's funny, man. Anyway, So you don't have any closing parting words?
Um,
We did see some. Marissa said that on one of the couch lives we have to address whether addiction being a disability. I think we should. All right, so write that down. Trinity is a future topic for the couch live. Is it a disability? I
Yeah.
think that's a great.
well, if we don't have a topic for Monday, let's do it Monday.
Wait a minute. Did I or did I not? Let me think.
Oh boy.
Go ahead and do
There
your
we-
closing, and I'll think.
My closing, I guess, for today's one is just, I think it's a complicated world. And I think we do the world and everybody in it an injustice if we don't acknowledge that. We always want to try to simplify things and turn into a they and them and us versus them and everything else. It's a lot more complicated than that. And I think at the end of the day, we need to maintain a certain amount of reasonability and understand that other people are going to feel differently and they're justified in their opinions. Whether we agree with them or not, they arrive to that opinion somehow, some way, and we need to respect that process and understand that we want them to respect our process. We got to do that to them as well, and somehow, some way, we'll find common ground. And once you find common ground, that's when you can start making some real progress.
Right on. And Trinity, Marissa just reminded us that there is a topic that we had for Monday. We talked about it on Tuesday. What was Tuesday's show on Dharma Time? What was the topic?
Gosh, dude, you're asking me now my memory's being challenged here. I'd have to look that one up.
Oh, come on.
Well,
Come on, Trinity. Wait a minute. No, there can only be one. There can only be one, Trinity.
right.
Forgetful person, and that's me. You can't be
Okay.
equally as
The
forgetful.
topic on Dharma Time last week or this week on Tuesday was the imposter syndrome.
Okay. And so it was based on that I said, we'll go off and because that's always an issue with people in recovery. So do you remember that? But it was a play off of that, the imposter syndrome or not feeling worthy or self-worth.
Okay.
Right? Was it self-esteem and self-worth?
Sure.
Yeah, we're going to talk about self-worth. So let's put self-worth down for this Monday. And then the next Monday after that, Marissa, we'll do disabilities. Is addiction a disability? So Trinity, can you write it down? Because I'll forget and you'll forget now. Oh, self-talk. Is that what it was, Marissa? That's what it was.
Yeah.
Self-talk. Thank you, Marissa.
There you go.
Awesome. Self-talk. Bro, let me tell you something. She's already worth the money spent on her, which was nothing.
There you go.
But it sounded good.
It
We didn't
did.
spend any money on it, and it sounded good.
There you go.
We love you, Marissa. Thank you very much for all the contribution. Thank you very much for everybody that joined us today and contributed by putting up anything by putting a comment, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube Live, whether you're on Twitch. All of you, we appreciated you. And obviously, he is at the Dharma Guy. I am at the Dope Doctor, which I don't see on our thing anymore. I don't know. Did you get right there? They are. You can always reach out to us any which way you like, any kind of social media, or you got questions, you want a future show you want to talk about next Friday. Who knows what we're going to talk about, but we do know that we're going to talk about self-talk on Monday on the Couch Live, and that's at 8 p.m. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be doing it, from home, even though it'll be a WOKB show.
Yep. And for that
We're at
one,
the
we will
local radio
not be on
station.
Twitch. We'll only be on Facebook, YouTube,
right.
and then the local radio stations here.
Yeah, the Couch Live does not go on Twitch, and don't ask us why. Right now, that's all it is. It's YouTube and Facebook for the Couch Live. Anyway, thank you all very much. We love you all. Remember, be true to your adjectives. Make sure you let everybody know what your adjectives are. Tell them what their adjectives are to you, and that's how we love each other better, man. We focus on how we are rather than what we are. Because if not, we walk around going, "Well, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor." No, you're not. You're kind. You're jerky. You're nice, or you're a I was gonna say a bad word, but somebody's mother might be listening. Anyway, what?
I think my mom is watching, so
That's right, and we want to be true. We want to be nice and respectful to her because I'm sure she never saw anything negative at the prisons and jails that she worked at as a corrections officer. But anyway, from Trinity, the Dharma Guy, and from me, the Dope Doctor, here from Dope and Dharma. Adios, amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.